Hello. Today I'll be Thomas Jefferson in this scene.
And I will be John Adams.
Good day, my good people. There are innumerable reasons why I should be elected president this term, but even more so, why Adams should not be. Adams is of a hideous, hermaphroditical character with neither the force and firmness of a man nor the gentleness and sensibility of a woman. Says one thing, then he disavows it with his actions. It would be dangerous to keep such a hypocritical individual in office. He claims to want peace and maintain the neutrality General George Washington worked so hard to acquire, but his decisions say otherwise. This monarchist seeks to reaffirm the old ties with Britain that we fought so hard to be free of. John Adams seeks to undo the efforts put forth by our brave soldiers and make their blood, their lives, to have been shed in vain. This is not the end of his efforts to dispose of our revolutionary principles, though. Oh no. He goes further still to flagrantly violate the First Amendment rights of the American people. The Sedition Act is a canker on this nation's integrity and pride. Prohibiting all works that do not stroke the government as just is just as oppressive as any absolute monarchy or dictatorship. The state governments have no choice but to ignore this legislation, as it infringes on the very essence of their state constitutions. Such a result would not only lessen the federal government's influence, but will also reveal it to be incompetent and lack credibility. This is a horrifying thought even to contemplate that such a man was elected once, and so I beg of you to never again do it. As president, I shall maintain this country's neutrality in an effective manner. I shall not tolerate the restriction of the rights of the American people, and by God I swear to you that I shall protect every revolutionary principle that we have for so long pursued.
This speech Thomas Jefferson just delivered is not so much a quotation of his past words, but rather the cumulative representation of his and other Jeffersonian arguments of the time. Though during this time period there were no formal deliverances of the candidate platforms as we see today. This was the first time anything of the sort was implied in the United States. Actually, much of what we know about the candidates' positions is from written correspondences they had, trying to sway a vote or two in their favor. Well, let's hear Adams' opinion on it all.
First, I would like to state that any slander committed against my opponent has in no ways any ties to me. I shall not stoop down to the level of dirty politics and return the libel made against me. Furthermore, I shall even go so far as to acknowledge any of the propaganda maiming in my character. Jefferson may not be directly responsible for the words thrown against me, but I do hold him responsible for hiring that scurrilous James Callender to do the task for him. As luck would have it, Callender became resentful and found rumors about Jefferson's questionable romantic relationship to exploit, but I played no part in that. I have no time for this, and I must run this country, and I shall be exerting every effort of mine to keep us out of war, even if it kills me.
Okay, so we see Jefferson is quite interested in destroying the public perception of Adams, and Adams simply not going to get into it. At least Mr. Prez has better things to do with his time. Turns out that Adams' efforts succeeded, and a treaty with France was established. Too bad word of it didn't reach anyone until after most of the polls were taken. Speaking of polls, Adams will not be president this next term. Yeah, so Jefferson time with Burr here. I guess the House will have to vote on this 36 times to see who wins. Much to Jefferson's chagrin, Adams was not about to put in a good word in favor of any candidate, just furthering this stalemate. What broke it in the end was actually some heavy campaigning by Hamilton. He thought,
Jefferson by far is not so dangerous a man as Burr.
Yeah, so that and a few other words broke the tie. Also, Burr kind of left, so that didn't look too good for him. And Jefferson became president, with Burr as vice president.
Well, Burr almost nearly pulled one over on me. My running mate almost becoming president. Just the thought of that is absurd. Well, we'll need to change that during my presidency then, won't we?
Mr. President, what is the purpose of the 12th Amendment?
Well, the 12th Amendment you want to hear about. Well, the 12th Amendment was actually designed so we don't have a repeat of the last election. See, in the last election, my running mate, well, it was a tie between me and my running mate. That should never have happened. The running mate should always be determined as vice president. So the 12th Amendment basically groups the candidacy as vice president and president running together, and there's a vote for both of them. One vote for both of them. And so what will happen this way is that we won't see two members of the same party tied in the election at the end. But they will be together, and there will always be opposition parties at the end. Furthermore, you won't see a president that is a Democrat and then a vice president that is a Republican. That just simply will not happen.
Why do you feel this amendment was necessary to pass?
Well, as I said earlier, there's a great conflict in interest if there's a Federalist president and a Republican vice president, and they wouldn't be able to work together regardless of the individual. It just simply would not work because of partisan interests.
The 12th Amendment requires the President and Vice President to be elected together, and there can be no tie over and over again. Also, it will stop different parties from being in the two biggest offices at the same